As I settled in to watch episode 4 of Sword of the Demon Hunter, Kijin Gentoushou, titled The Devourer Part 2, I was bracing myself for the continuation of the intense slasher mystery that gripped me in the previous episode. What I got instead was a gut punch of emotional depth, stunning animation, and a narrative that left me both shattered and in awe. This episode, which aired on April 22, 2025, is a testament to the series' ability to blend dark fantasy with raw human emotion, and I'm still reeling from its impact. Below, I'll dive into the key themes that make this episode a standout, exploring its narrative, characters, visuals, sound, and emotional resonance, all while sharing my personal reactions to what worked, what didn't, and what left me speechless. I think the narrative of episode 4 is where Sword of the Demon Hunter truly flexes its storytelling muscles. Picking up from the cliffhanger of episode 3, we follow Jinta, now Jinya, and Mosuk as they hunt for the culprits behind Edo's gruesome slasher killings. The episode wastes no time diving into the action, but what I really appreciate is how it balances high-stakes combat with profound revelations. The reveal of the slasher's identity, Mosuk's wife, Hatsu, reawakened as a demon due to the trauma of her assault and murder, hit me like a freight train. I didn't see it coming, and I love how the show subverts expectations by making the villain not just a monster but a tragic figure driven by pain and love. What I personally don't understand is why the narrative didn't linger a bit longer on Hatsu's transformation. The flashback showing her assault and death was harrowing, but I felt it was rushed, almost as if the show was afraid to fully unpack her trauma. I'm against glossing over such heavy themes, as they deserve more space to breathe. Still, the way the episode ties Hatsu's fate to Jinya's growing powers, absorbing her essence and gaining new abilities, adds a layer of moral ambiguity that I find utterly compelling. Jinya's internal struggle, questioning why he wields his sword, feels more poignant here than ever. I also anticipate that this moment will have lasting consequences, as Jinya's transformation into a half-demon seems to be pushing him toward a darker path. The non-linear storytelling, with hints of the 170-year journey ahead, keeps me hooked, though I didn't like how the episode ended so abruptly, leaving me desperate for more context about Jinya's next steps. The characters in episode 4 are what make this episode so unforgettable, and I'm completely invested in their arcs. Jinya, portrayed with haunting intensity by Taku Yashiro, is a protagonist I can't help but root for, even as he grapples with his own demons, literally and figuratively. I really appreciate how the show portrays his stoicism cracking under the weight of Hatsu's tragedy. His decision to spare her head after realizing her identity, instead of fully consuming her, broke my heart. It's a small act of mercy that shows he's still clinging to his humanity, and I think it's one of the most human moments in the series so far. Mosuk, voiced by Chikahiro Kobayashi, is another standout. I was initially skeptical about his role as a peaceful demon, but this episode made me fall in love with his quiet strength and devastating grief. His reunion with Hatsu, only to lose her again, is a scene I won't forget anytime soon. I don't think I've ever seen a side character given such a raw, emotional send-off, and it left me in tears. However, I didn't like how Ofu, the soba shop girl, felt sidelined. Her safety is a relief, but I personally don't understand why she didn't get more screen time to develop her bond with Jinya, especially since fans on Reddit speculate she might be his future wife. I also anticipate more from Suzune, Jinya's sister, who only appears briefly but looms large over the narrative. Her absence in this episode felt like a missed opportunity to deepen the stakes of Jinya's revenge. Visually, episode 4 is nothing short of breathtaking, and I'm convinced Yokohama Animation Laboratory is pouring their soul into this series. The animation during Jinya's battle with Hatsu and the human culprits is fluid and visceral, with swordplay that feels both graceful and brutal. I really appreciate the attention to detail in the Edo setting. The flickering lanterns, the shadowy alleys, the blood-soaked cobblestones. The cinematic, and I think it elevates the episode to a level that rivals big-budget anime like Demon Slayer. The color palette, heavy with dark reds and blues, perfectly matches the episode's grim tone, and I love how it contrasts with the softer moments, like Ofu's warm soba shop. I didn't like how the camera pulled away from Hatsu's demonic form too soon. I wanted to see more of her terrifying design. Still, the character animation, particularly the expressions of grief on Mosuke and Jinya's faces, is flawless. I also anticipate that future episodes will lean even harder into the supernatural visuals, especially as Jinya's powers evolve. The brief glimpse of his new ability, a fiery, demonic aura, was stunning, and I can't wait to see how the animators push the boundaries further. If there's one thing Episode 4 nails, it's making you feel. I don't think I've been this emotionally invested in an anime episode in a long time. The tragedy of Mosuke and Hatsu is devastating, and I love how the show doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of their story: grief, trauma, and the cost of vengeance. Jinya's growing burden as a demon hunter, absorbing the pain of those he kills, is a theme I find incredibly compelling. It's not just about slaying monsters. It's about carrying their stories, and I think that's what sets this series apart from other action anime. I personally don't understand why the show had to make Hatsu's fate so brutal. Her assault and transformation are hard to watch, and while I appreciate the realism, I'm against leaning so heavily on such tropes without more follow-through. That didn't please me, as it felt like her pain was used more for shock value than for deeper exploration. Still, the quieter moments, like Jinya escorting Ofu home or Mosuke's final farewell, ground the episode in humanity. I also anticipate that the series will continue to explore these heavy themes, hopefully with more nuance. For now, Episode 4 left me both heartbroken and eager for more, a rare feat that I deeply respect. Episode 4 of Sword of the Demon Hunter is a tour de force that left me emotionally drained and hungry for more. I think it's the strongest episode yet, blending heart-wrenching drama, breathtaking visuals, and a narrative that challenges you to think about the cost of violence. I really appreciate how the show respects its characters, giving even minor players like Mosuke and Hatsu moments to shine. That said, I'm against some of the rushed elements, particularly around Hatsu's backstory, and I didn't like the abrupt ending that left too many questions unanswered. Still, these are minor gripes in an otherwise phenomenal episode. I love how Sword of the Demon Hunter is carving its own path in the dark fantasy genre, and I think Episode 4 is proof that it's a series to watch closely. I also anticipate that the show will only get better as Jinya's journey unfolds, especially with the promise of more time travel and supernatural intrigue. If you're not watching this anime yet, Episode 4 is the perfect reason to jump in. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm strapped in for the ride.